This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Hi, my name is Igor Kheifets, and this is The List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
This is it. This is what you have been waiting for all week. Igor Kheifets, list building lifestyle, and more tips to improve your life. Let's get on with it. What's up, Igor?
Hey, Jonathan, the other day I had a VIP client hit me up on Facebook, and he just joined the club, the VIP club that, we advertise on the site. And he's like, Igor, I'm so excited to be here. So I'm like, cool, tell me a story. Like, how did you end up in the club? And all of a sudden he goes into this rant and gives me the entire story, how he started with this guy and he followed that guy for a month. And that guy, he put down $5,000 with that guy and he failed here and he failed there. Basically, his life the last 2 years was just one giant shitstorm. He had to move back with his parents and really, I almost felt sorry for the guy, but you have to be careful not to feel sorry for your clients because you can't help them, right? You have to inspire them to get up to your level versus, feeling sorry for them and kind of getting down to their level. So, I listened closely to the story. I mean, he typed it out, so I read it closely. And, if you ever got this, Jonathan, when you read someone's email or read someone's message and you can smell the desperation, and this desperation, this neediness was so obvious that I just wrote, look, dude, I'm not sure if you're open to hearing this, but I know exactly what your problem is. And, thankfully for me, he was open to hearing it. I told him that he just projects this vibe of neediness, and he was cool about it, right? I had experiences where I said this to clients and, they just left the club because they took offense, whatever. But, neediness is what kills response, is what kills success on many levels, not just in your business, not just when it comes to sales, but, it actually robs on people in your life too. I noticed that whenever I felt needy, whenever I felt this sort of vibe, and I'm not talking about feeling scared. Like feeling scared before a challenge is one thing, and it's good. I can share that with my wife. If I feel really anxious, like I can tell my wife, look, honey, I'm so nervous about this upcoming, podcast recording. She's very understanding. But when we're talking about neediness, and neediness is when you try to place the cause for your success, in other people, and not in circumstance, and you sort of act as if you're lost, right? This is what will get you in trouble in every area of your life. So this is why, continuing the theme of a few recent episodes we've been doing, I want to discuss what Wallace D. Wattles shared in Science of Getting Rich, a great book. I highly recommend you read it if you're into The Secret and Law of Attraction. He spoke about doing things in a certain way. He said that people who are successful in life and people who get what they want, they do things in a certain way. Now, when I first read the book, Jonathan, it's funny because I thought that when he says a certain way, he just says a specific way, like a way I'm going to share with you. But then throughout the whole book, he never said what that way is. So the first time I read the book, I didn't really understand it. But then a friend of mine pointed out that certain means absence of doubt. Right? So a certain way, he meant to do things with certainty, to do things with full confidence, to do things with 100% belief in the righteousness of what you're doing. And when you act that way, basically act as if and go as though, right? If we want to put it into a biblical term, that's when you attract people. That's when people want to work with you on your terms. That's when things just sort of work out, because this boldness is what makes it work out.
I like that. Think a certain way. It's so easy to miss.
Yeah, it's really counterintuitive. But again, this confidence is one of those things that you see in all successful people, right? If you ever went to a seminar, for instance, and you connected with a highly accomplished individual, you never sense uncertainty around them. You never sense neediness. You never sense them trying to please other people, right? All you sense is this lion-like confidence, and you want that. And you want to model that, and you want to have a piece of that. And when that happens, when you can inspire that feeling in your customer base, this is when they'll do anything you want.
Yeah, right. Because that's what they're actually looking for. They're looking for you to have the confidence in what you're doing so that you can lead them there. Because if you don't have that, then they question whether you're really the right person or not.
Yeah. And, people are kind of weird like that, where they use the confidence they have for you to find the confidence for themselves. Because again, I mentioned it on this episode and several other episodes. People always seek the cause for failure and success outside themselves, which means if they can find that cause for success in you and your confidence, if they can say, look, JR is so confident and he knows what he's doing, I'm going to stick to him because he's going to be my reason to believe I can be successful. That will be enough for them to believe in themselves. Because confidence, where does it really come from? Ben Settle says that confidence comes from options. So if you have more than one income stream, you can be confident and sleep well at night. If you only have one income stream, right, you will probably worry. And if you have no income streams, then you'll lose sleep altogether. So that's one source of confidence. The other source of confidence for me is knowledge and preparation. And that's the source of confidence that my mentor Tom Beal talks a lot about. He's a pro wrestler, ex-wrestler, and a Marine. So, all the preparation he's done towards the wrestling championships he participated in, won, etc., that's what allowed him to be confident. And I even remember him telling this story about how he went out and he beat this guy that was undefeated. And I said, you must have been scared shitless before the match. And he says, well, I was like, obviously I didn't know what's going to happen, and I was trying to get myself detached from the outcome, but I was confident going in because of all the training and preparation I put in before the fight. And, so training, preparation, and knowledge is another source. And these are the two sources, okay, that you can tap for yourself to create this quote unquote artificial confidence, artificial certainty, to be able to project that from your core to the marketplace. And then it's going to start feeding on itself when you have people hit you up and try to have some of that stuff rub on them.
No kidding. You know what? I keep hearing about Tom Beal. I want to know more about him. I'm just starting to dig into his work, and it seems like you and a bunch of other people have learned a great deal from him. He's been on the show, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, he's the man behind the syndicate. So guys like Frank Kern, Ryan Dice, Perry Belcher, Jeff Walker, Andy Jenkins, Mike Filsame. He used to run a business together with Mike Filsame for several years. Basically, all these guys, they consulted him. And they were, he was a part of their mastermind, and he was, for a long while, he worked for Rich Schefren. He was his JV guy and a business partner as well. So basically, Tom Beal is the who's who, man. He's the bee's knees.
Sounds like fanboy talk.
Yeah, man, sure is. I mean,
that's good.
I've been connecting with Tom every week for an hour for the last year and a half or so. Tremendous human being, just so valuable. The guy knows so much and has so much experience. I highly recommend looking him up and reaching out to him to see if you can get coached by him. I mean, no matter who you are, because I see no way for you to spend some time with him and not walk out, with benefits. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you went into work with him because you were certain he was the right mentor for you. And it looks to me like it's working because you've had tremendous growth in that time, haven't you? And so what are some more tips that you can give about that certainty aspect that you got from the science of getting rich?
Well, another tip I want to share about certainty, it's something I didn't actually pick up in Science of Getting Rich, is that I found that the more you procrastinate about taking action, the less certainty you've got, no matter who you are. So even if you're like a multi-millionaire, but you've been procrastinating about a project of some sort and you've been kind of delaying, that project, you will find your certainty levels, your confidence levels go down. And so a lot of times certainty comes from action, and not from perfect action, but just from action. So it goes back to the old saying, you don't have to get it right, you just have to get it started. And when you do, all of a sudden you notice how your certainty levels go up. Now, you might not get it right for the very first time, and you'll find yourself, doubtful later. However, that initial certainty is going to be enough for you to keep going. So if you find yourself struggling to become certain about your path, do something. Just sit down and create a piece of content, reach out to a joint venture partner, connect to a client, do whatever you have to do. Just do something where you step outside your comfort zone, and you'll notice your confidence level just goes way up.
That comes back to action. We've been talking about that episodes, I think even just a few episodes ago, and over again, is just taking the small imperfect actions. I don't know if you're going to have them on the show or not, because it was an interesting conversation on Facebook, but it reminds me of some work I'm doing with Sean D'Souza of Psychotactics, where he's got the most interesting, I've read his books, but I never really got into his training till recently. And his training can seem annoying because every day it's like one small thing, one small little step, and you're like, I'm getting nowhere. But it's the small steps, he says, that lead to the giant leaps in your ability. And so I think that small imperfect action falls right in line with that.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect way to trick the brain. I mean, Sean really got it down path where, oftentimes when I look at a project that I plan on hitting, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be so difficult. It's going to take such a long time. But if you can actually break it down into super small steps, whether daily steps or, a weekly step, doesn't matter, like how often you take them, but it's just the size of the step. It's a very easy way to trick the brain to not get in your way and accomplish a lot. I remember I had this task where I had to write 10 emails for a client. And, sometimes emails flow really easily. Sometimes I can sit down and like write an email in 7 minutes and send it. But sometimes, especially when I'm writing for a client, not for myself, but for a client, things can get difficult. And I procrastinate, and I delay until, it's a deadline. It's deadline time, and I have to sit down and do it. And I remember, coming back home from the coffee shop around 4 p.m., and realizing, oh my God, I forgot I got this deadline to deliver on the emails. And I had to write 10 emails. And, a package of 10 emails can seem like a lot, even for an email copywriter, because that's 10 different ideas, 10 different deliveries, lots of words to type, So I got scared. I got frustrated. I got overwhelmed. But then I said, you know what? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit down, pull up my Evernote, and I'm going to come up with 10 ideas. One idea per email. That's all. I'm not going to write the emails today. I'm going to push the deadline. I'm going to email the client and say, look, something came up. I can't finish it today. I'll finish it tomorrow, the day after, whatever. I'm just going to sit down and write the ideas for my emails. And that's what I've done. One by one, I came up with ideas for these emails, and I just wrote them down in one sentence. So one sentence was the dumbest law in California. The other sentence was the fear of public speaking. And I don't really recall exactly what the emails were, but that's what it looked like. And then once I wrote down those ideas, I said, you know what, let me just write one email. I'll just pick whatever idea that seems like the easiest one, and I'm going to write it. And I picked up, I think, the fifth idea on the list, wrote an email fairly quickly. It's like, okay, I'll write another one. And that's how I finished the task. I finished it the same day. But because I tricked my brain into these small steps, it did not get in my way of hitting it.
Yeah, man. Just that motion, getting things going. That's the hardest part sometimes. I like that. So anything else about taking action, about the science of getting rich, about certainty that we can share with the list builders?
Well, obviously experience brings certainty as well. Like in addition to all the things we discussed, actual real world experience brings certainty. So that is why I found myself in the past 12 months try and live my life by my fear is my gold. And this is something I heard from Robin Sharma for the first time. And basically, whenever I fear something, the best way to gain the tools to deal with it and stop feeling anxious about it and to gain experience is to actually go in and, into that situation. So, for example, my friends surprised me with a flying lesson, a lesson how to fly a plane.
Yeah,
you've probably seen the photos on Facebook.
Of course.
So I got massive fear of flying. I kid you not. It's the most one of the most terrifying things that I have to go through. So I did it. I wanted to cancel it, but then I got a grip and, I did it. And now I'm not afraid of flying anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I flew a plane,
worked.
Man. Come on. So you can't really be afraid of flying after you flew a plane. Obviously, there's some anxiety related to what if plane crashes, etc., but it's not nowhere near where it used to be. And, it was one of the most scariest things I've ever done. Should I say, not the actual flying thing, but, anticipating. Right? Anticipating the whole thing was very, very scary. So, but once I've done it, once I've had the experience, the first-hand experience, I no longer feel anxiety or, nervousness when I think about flying a plane. So what this means is that if you feel anxiety towards writing an email, guess what you have to do? Sit your ass down and write a damn email. If you feel anxiety towards approaching girls in a bar, then go out and start approaching for the sake of approaching, not even for the sake of success, but just approach girls and start talking about nothing. So just the mere action in the direction you're afraid of, in the direction you lack certainty, is what's going to get you the certainty you need to succeed.
That is so true, man. I did the same thing. That I like to get out there and surf, but I had a bad fear of the water. So the way I got rid of my fear of the water was I went and got scuba diving certified and spent 2 days underwater.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to just get terrified, just a little bit of water up my nose and I'd start freaking out, and that makes it difficult to surf.
I bet.
Oh man, good stuff, Igor. So what do you have coming up for the list builders next time?
Next time, I'm interviewing Ben Glinsky, an owner of a network marketing company that just exploded recently called Skinny Body Care. And I'm not going to be interviewing him about his, skinny body product, of course, but more so about his journey going from a nobody to a top distributor in a company to then starting his own company, and what he learned along the way. I think if you are just getting started in network marketing or internet marketing, you will find this episode extremely valuable because Ben shares the kind of growth stages he went through on this journey, and this will really help speed up your success if you feel stuck right now.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. So another episode of List Building Lifestyle is in the can. We'll be back with you next time.
Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kheifets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.